If you have or had one of these plans before the Affordable Care Act came into law, and you really liked that plan, what we said was you could keep it if it hasn't changed since the law was passed.
What the president was referring to was the broader promise of the Affordable Care Act.
There was nothing about what President Obama or that I or any other Democrat supporting the Affordable Care Act said that was not true.
Well, so instead of the spin, should President Obama have just come clean, admitted to folks that maybe they won't be able to keep their doctor or their plan under Obamacare?
Let's ask a guy who knows about the crisis, wrote a book about this and how to get out of them. Let's ask Lanny Davis, a crisis management expert and former special counsel to President Clinton and maybe future counsel to President Clinton if Hillary runs, the author of Crisis Tales, Lanny Davis. Lanny, do you believe the president is handling this right?
Friend of future President Clinton, but I'm on private sector income.
You never know, she might ask you, but go ahead, Lanny.
Look, in the world of crisis management...
Is this a good move?
Facts that are in front of your face have to be admitted to. President Obama and all Democrats should say, we support this act, which I do. We messed up in explaining it. We oversimplified. We should have told people you might have to change plans to increase your coverage, and that's going to cost you more. That was a mistake. We need to fix it.
Why hasn't that happened yet?
Well, it's hard to admit mistakes when you're in the middle of a campaign. You're oversimplifying that you shouldn't lose your policies because that's the act's objective. But the way it turned out, regulations were written imposing costs that insurance companies say you're going to have to pay more to keep your policy. It wasn't explained well. Now we just have to acknowledge that, which is Crisis Management Rule 101, and fix it.
What path does the president take, though? Does he say, I had no idea? Or, I just should have been more clear. I did know this would happen. This was in the language, deep in the 1,000th page. Which path does he take, in your opinion?
Be honest. I think it was not an intentional misrepresentation, otherwise called a lie. I think it was a mistake of understanding, oversimplification in a soundbite. He needs to fix it, acknowledge that, and then get to work and reduce some of these regulations that are causing the problem.
I think his explanation, me personally, is insulting. He acts as if we cut him off on a soundbite. He said you can keep your plan, period. Now he's saying, well, if your plan changed at all, didn't you pay attention? The way he's approaching it now, I think, makes it astronomically worse.
Well, one more time, I support President Obama. I support the Affordable Care Act. We did mess up. We oversimplified. We need to fix it, explain it to the American people. You want more coverage?
Still, you think he can go back and do it?
You want more coverage, you have to pay for it. That's the reason why the plans are going to be changed for you. But it's a good thing for America to have access. Now we need to fix the problem.
What if he doesn't admit to that?
Well, he's hurting Democrats. As you saw, Terry McAuliffe was pretty well ahead. He won by a good friend of mine, a narrow margin. We have Democrats that are in red states. We've got to fix this problem. We've got to acknowledge that it needs to be fixed.
All right, let's talk about Alex Rodriguez, another major case that you're a part of. You're part of the defense team with Alex Rodriguez. It's a federal investigation. You believe baseball overstepped. How?
Look, baseball, Commissioner Selig authorized $125,000 in cash to be delivered to somebody who had stolen documents. And we're not dealing with Boardwalk Empire here. We're dealing with baseball, a national heritage. Commissioner Selig owes the American people, he's a trustee, an explanation. Why are you using $125,000 in cash in a satchel? This is not Boardwalk Empire, it's baseball.
But he had this guy you can pay for to get evidence in a case?
Why use cash? Why do it in a diner?
What do you want,
a
banker's
satchel?
check?
I want it in a legitimate, transparent
So
way
you can
with
track
tax.
it?
Of course, with tax forms that you're required to file. We don't even know yet. They say they're going to. But why do it as a way? This is baseball.
Well, why is that
important?
Why is that important?
Because the tactics of getting one player, if you're organized baseball, this is our national pastime. It's not another business.
Shouldn't we tell Alex
They're
Rodriguez it's our national
for our
pastime?
children.
That it's a privilege to play this game? You shouldn't be cheating?
Of course, both sides have to be addressed. But for goodness sakes, Commissioner Selig authorizing a Boardwalk Empire passage in a satchel of $125,000, and he hasn't explained it to the American people, or that he filed the necessary tax forms so he doesn't commit a fraud or a crime. My son's a 15-year-old baseball player, and he said, Dad, this is dirty. This is about baseball, Babe Ruth, New York Yankees, baseball.
Lanny Davis, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Lanny. Coming up straight ahead, remember when Ray Kelly was shouted down by students?